Good evening, everyone. Welcome to an interesting panel discussion that we plan to set up here for you all in next 45 minutes. I have with me some very senior personnel from the PSUs and probably corporates as well. I'll quickly introduce myself. I'm Akshay Singhal. I'm a partner with EY, largely focusing on the digital transformation projects with the government and the PSUs for last 12 years. And there's been an immense change and growth that you see that has led to what we see today as an ongoing process though of digital transformation in the country within PSUs and with the government. Quickly moving on to what we are tasked to do here in next 45 minutes, and that's what I've been told by the organizers as well. So we have a team of panelists. I'll start off with a brief introduction of the topic, and then we'll request each of the esteemed panelists to share their thoughts around digital transformation. And we will then open the house for a few questions, and then we summarize the discussion. That's how we're going to keep the whole format. If that works fine with all of us. So I think I remember long back when I was a young boy, and my mom used to tell me that Akshay, say and do good things, because all the good things that you say, they go up in the sky to the God, and then they return back to you. If you do say and do good things, only good things will return back to you. 25 years later, when I realized that now, I realized probably between me and God, there is something called cloud, social media cloud. And if whatever good or bad I do or say, first reaches to the social media cloud, creates its own shape, and then probably reaches the God, or not, I don't know. And the good and bad things return back to me. So I really have to be a little more careful and take care of what my mom said to me about 25 years ago as a kid. So you would see a large amount of data, technology around us, and going forward, I think there's no turning back for anyone from this. And the theme of the session has been rightly chosen, which is the emerging technologies or the technology intervention in the PSU space per se. And I believe there are a larger number of emerging technology solutions that are getting implemented and absorbed by both the departments and their users as well. And talking of few, we can refer to something called the drone-based or the unmanned vehicles, which now Ministry of Civil Aviation has come up with the approved CAR as well, which will now see a lot of push in its usage in the PSU space as well. And a large number of PSUs that are scattered around their offices, their plants are scattered around the country in both remote and the regular urban locations as well. They'll see a larger number of use of the unmanned aerial vehicles as well. And I'm really thankful to the Ministry of Civil Aviation that after a long deliberation, they were able to come up with the policy to be able to implement it. Obviously, a lot of ecosystem has to be still created around the UAVs as well, which include certification of them, their training, trainers, the area, some other specific policies as well. But broadly, I think we are now in the right direction to be able to start using them in the PSU space greatly. A lot of other technology that are being talked about is the collaborative frameworks from a video conferencing tool or a contact center solutions, and I believe we have one of the panelists here who comes from that area as well. Another technology solution which has been making waves but lesser implementation today is probably a blockchain. And I believe, given the larger vendor support that a PSU needs or have, a blockchain solution can play a larger role there. And we might want to look into the direction of creating a seamless blockchain solution among our own set customers, suppliers, vendors. And this will give it both the trust benefit and enhance the trust in the transition between the two entities and efficiency as well. Everyone knows about analytics nowadays and whatever, big data or small data, whatever that is, but analytics is going to stay here, and it can find a larger play in the PSU space when it comes to analyzing the large number of transactions that they have today. We as a consulting firm also evaluate a lot of fraudulent transactions using the analytics solutions when a fraud happens in a particular corporate or PSU or government departments per se. And this really, the analytics connected with the forensic analytics as well, is going to play a larger role in in both enhancing the growth and preventing the fraud. So these two areas needs to be also taken care of as key solutions looked at while implementing the ERPs as well. So ERPs has been a passe now, I would say, but over a period of time, more or less every PSU or the government department or the corporate would have had one type of an ERP or the other. But now idea is, after maybe 15 years or 2 decades of its implementation and successful usage, are we moving to the next level of getting benefits out of it? Or are we still doing the basic transactions there? So we can touch upon that as well. And interestingly, one point that came up was around ERP is, are we, so as PSUs, do we need some sort of an indigenized version of an ERP, or do we still work back with the national, international players otherwise today in the market? Will a more indigenized version help us reduce the cost of the projects and their support and maintenance over years, or we still go with the regular CAPEX, OPEX model with large international players? That's a thought to be looked at as well. One last component that I want to touch about is the IoT, the Internet of Things devices or sensor that we talk about. So sensors have been there for many years. It's just that probably they are given a unique name and have found its application to many things now that weren't there earlier. Be it hydrocarbon based extraction, drilling, be it the distillation plants and columns, or be it in a typical workshop floor. A large usage of IoT devices or sensors has been put in place now. Obviously, some of them are still running with a POC mode, and sooner or later they'll also see their larger production and usage in the PSU's operational technology component. So I think with these broad introduction about the key technologies in current space, let's start off a formal discussion with everyone around here. So quickly starting off, let me pick up IOCL as the first panelist. So we know about the IOCL as a large, I think the only PSU which got its entry into the Fortune 500 ever, and they had shown a large number of technology-based implementations initiatives taken around in the country. I was talking to sir as well about the Project Manthan, which started about 15-17 years ago, and it's taken a different shape altogether now. So over to sir. May I request you to share a few thoughts around what all new initiatives that Indian Oil has been looking into from a digital intervention perspective, where you see a convergence of digital with people and processes. So, sir,
thank you, Akshay. Good evening to all of you. See, as you know, Indian Oil started our journey on digital world in the consolidation of data with SAP, implementation of ERP solution with SAP in quite 15 years back. Now then the data started flowing in. Today a lot of data has accumulated, and we have progressed to some extent that we need to actually analyze that data. So we have different areas that we have gone for. One is the data analytics part. Second thing is the mobility, which is actually reaching out to the customer. The mobility, if you see, it is today you have something called as a Indian Oil mobile app, Indian Oil One, or a fuel at IOC, where you can actually find out which is your daily nearest retail outlet and what is the price at each retail outlet. You may know that today the pricing of petrol, diesel changes every day. So we have that integrated mobile application integrated with the SAP, and then the price actually flows onto the customer. We have other mobile applications for the officers as well, the dealers, the distributors, etc. We have started, and that generates a lot of temperature, or it starts making a lot of noise, etc. So these are captured and then alerts can be generated. So that is one area we have experimented in the OT field. Another area is your chatbot, which is very, very common today. And this is actually a customer-facing chatbot where any customer who wants to, suppose he wants to know, wants to make a startup would like to make a bucket. So he would like to know what is the petrochemical that is required. He can go to the petrochemical site of iocl.com and then start chatting with it, and it will direct you where or who the person is, or for our internal customers like ESS, that is employee self-service systems. And then it has been a good success, and all our data like pay data or friend data or other PF related data, etc. All these details could actually be coming through the chatbot, and we tried, and even through a voice we were able to recognize and fetch data from SAP. So the other thing is in the analytics, if you see, we actually procure a lot of crude from the international market. So an analysis was done on to what is the we actually hire time chartered vessels and voyage chartered vessels. We would like to know which is the more beneficial one. Is this the time chartered vessels which we hire for the entire 2 years or so? Or is it that on the market you go, whenever you require a product, a crude oil to be supplied, we just go to the market and fetch and go for an agreement with the party, and then we get into this thing. So these kind of analysis has come out very nicely, and probably it is going to give a lot of savings to the corporation in matters of crores. So this is in short I would like to say. Probably next.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nambia. Quite interestingly, we came across a large number of initiatives being taken up by Indian Oil, both at the plant and the field and the markets level as well, consumer side as well. Thank you, sir. So quickly touching upon the similar story, what BHEL is doing. We know that BHEL is the largest power generation equipment manufacturer, and they do a lot of work in the area of design, engineering, manufacturing, construction, testing, commissioning, and servicing a large range of products, and both in India and the international market as well. With large number of projects spread across a large number of locations of theirs, they do have to create a digital platform which is talking to each other, sharing information, transaction, and one large platform that helps in this area is ERP for that matter. So may I request Mr. Shri Anil Joshi, GM from BHEL, to share his thoughts around the ERP solutions, the need for indigenization ERP, if he has some thoughts around it, and any other digital intervention that BHEL is taking up today.
Thank you, Akshay. Good evening to all. Actually, BHEL is one of the largest engineering and manufacturing companies in India today. As Akshay was telling, our range of activities and range of customers is very large, and both from the private sector and the public sector. And today, actually, our whole business is run on two prime softwares, just SAP and Oracle. And the problem that we envisage is that these softwares, like any software, you talk of an iPhone, they'll change it after a few years. And then you have to go for a new iPhone, basically driven by certain features that they offer that may not have that amount of utility to the user. But we'll keep on having to change and migrate to a newer version. So we have a constraint that the software, as it changes, you have to buy a new hardware for that also. And a company like BHEL has to invest crores and crores of money on that every few years. And we are trying to leverage with a lot of public sector companies to get to know how they are moving about it. And we have had discussions with our ministry and other people also, whether it is the right time for companies like BHEL or maybe IOC or NTPC to look at ERP, because ERP is the bloodline of any company. ERP is one thing which runs everything in the company as far as the finance, you talk of anything. For any operations in the company, ERP is the bloodline and the lifeline for the company. So why not, as public sector companies, particularly central public sector companies, we can think of leveraging a common platform so that we try to indigenize this ERP as an Indian product. Because unless we do that, as an Indian professional community, we already tied to certain vendors. Okay, their vendors are such that they have this as the business model, that you change the software, you come again, and you again have to customize, like Indian Oil and stuff. Again, you have to do the whole cycle of things again. If we have a effort that we do it all in-house with some Indian companies, and Indian companies are very good in developing the softwares, we are already in touch with NIC and other people, whether we can think of developing such a Indian SAP, for example, I think it will be very good for the country. And I think this platform that Governance House has provided is probably the right platform for us to start that interaction. Although we interact with all of these companies that are sitting here on various issues, ranging from technical to operations and contracts. But probably this is the IT platform where we need to do that. As far as our company story is there, last 2-3 years, actually we have stopped calling IT as IT. Because we realized that IT, when you talk of IT, you think only of operations, maybe how you run your hardware, software and things like that. We looked at it as a challenge, as a business challenge, and how to go about transforming the company in the true sense. And do it without banking on someone else, even a small vendor outside. So our whole theory was, let us develop all things in-house. We have to buy engineering softwares, high-end softwares, we do that. We have to buy SAP or Oracle, we do that. But how to customize that for our own needs by our own people? Because we have a tremendous talent pool available in the company. And so we wanted to utilize them and motivate them and to deliver things that are especially relevant for a company like ours. Because if you see, no software company will be able to understand your exact business needs. So with that model, we have now tried to change everything in the company last 2-3 years. And in pockets, starting with HR, if I say, our entire promotion system is now driven through program logics. It sounds very odd, but we have translated entire personal policies into logics and made it into a program so that anyone who comes for a selection for promotion, we are able to give the gradings through a well-defined logic-based principle, which is driven through the minutest policy lying in thousands of pages, thousands of amendments, thousands of policy changes over the years. So we have been able to have that system, and last 2 promotions in BHL have been done through this type of programming logic developed indigenously in-house. This we feel is a very good step in actually making digitalization work and make more transparency in the system. Secondly, we are a sort of a company where we have a corporate office and we have about 17 manufacturing divisions, hundreds of sites spread across the country, abroad, everywhere. So normally in any company you have an internet which is outward facing to customers, vendors and everywhere, and we have a local intranet which actually if you talk, if it operates in Chennai, it will speak something in Tamil. If in Telangana it will speak in Telugu. So like that. So we sort of now decided on a concept which we are trying to copy right now, that in the intranet pages of the of BHL units, we will be able to show the corporate feed from Delhi. So that helps us firstly disseminate information in large corporations instantaneously across the cross section, because we have 34,000 employees spread over wide enormous number of sites. So anyone wants to say anything at corporate office immediately comes on the intranet page of that local unit. So these are information which are relevant for the company only. So like that we have actually tried to do that for all the intranets, and it's a very good success as far as the communication needs of these large companies are there. Secondly, as far as engineering is there is very exciting times for engineering, because the tools that are changing, the facilities that are there, even if you talk of Google Maps, it gives you tremendous information that earlier we used to struggle to get from sites and get that data to do our engineering designs. But today now that is easily available in certain specific areas, that amount of resolutions and that amount of dimensional information is available off the shelf, sort of. So we can do things faster. So all these interventions, what has resulted for BHL? So I would just like to share with the audience here that only at the end of December last, we have commissioned 800 megawatt, which is the largest rating ever happening in the country in 46 months, which no one other company in India has been able to do. And all this has happened because of digitalization and efforts, which are happening in pockets, but are somehow seamlessly intertwined. Right from our manufacturing to the dispatches, to the site monitoring, to the site management of material, to the problems faced at site. All this is sort of seamlessly, but in pockets, sort of intertwined, and we are able to deliver large projects basically as digital is acting as an enabler for this. Besides this, I think we have a number of things that we have been doing which are quite interesting. I'll just share one or two of them. So like we have requirement of measuring in our townships or in our shops, what is the energy consumption. So if you just read today, Alexa has released one version that they convert the dumb meter to smart meter. So what we have done is, we have sort of put a web camera on an ordinary analog meter, read the data through a controller, and then reported the data to our central office. So this type of small innovations, which doesn't demand much money, and it can give you results instantaneously. So like that, small innovations we have been doing. And I think the sky is the limit, and these are very exciting times for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Joshi. I think given that you touched upon this indigenous story, I just have a follow-up question for you on that. That given the PSU space also create a lot of IPRs, and do you also see, and critical information as well. So do you also foresee some sort of a India cloud story for us to safeguard our data within the Indian boundaries?
I think that's a very important point, because see, at least we are in a competitive space where the Chinese are breathing down our leg, a lot of MNC players are there. So the security of our intellectual property is very important. And if through any breach this data goes out, I think it is disastrous for the company. And particularly I am very worried about the messaging platforms that are prevalent in the country. If you see the messaging platforms, WhatsApp, I think whatever happens on WhatsApp is common knowledge today, but how much sensitive information we as a country are actually loading, in which server we don't know. So we have been in talk with our ministry. So whether we can look at something which is more secure, and the server information resides in India, as the government is saying for e-commerce companies that you reside all the data in India. So probably time has come that at least the sensitive information, which may be disastrous for the company if it leaks out and is reported. In fact, we had a court case where a Chinese was able to show a lot of things and sort of delay the order of BHL by showing to the high courts that BHL is sort of delaying the projects, although the fault was not ours. So, but he was able to demonstrate that to the court, and finally won that battle in the court. But all this information will get leaks off. Suppose we do an RCA somewhere, and we put it on record that this happened, and this happened. In a competitive environment, it is very disastrous. So I think it is high time that we have a sort of very secure Indian cloud, which is data secure, not subject to any breach of information leakage, and probably some IT companies like NIC or their attendant arm should take up this. And I think it will benefit not BHL, but I think the entire public sector community. It is there, but it has to be indigenous. What we feel is whatever NIC is offering, it should be more for the Indian companies, and it will really help us. And all the companies sitting here, I think, will benefit from it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Quite an eye-opening thoughts around indigenization in various technology areas as well. Moving on to our next panelist, Ms. R. Priyambada. She is the GGM Technology and the HOD for IT for Engineers India Limited, EIL. So EIL has been the guiding light in providing engineering and technical services to the petroleum and the industrial projects across the country. Given the large manpower, the skilled manpower that they have who are part of these various projects, there are a lot of collaboration and other technologies that are required to be able to be in touch and share information with each other. And I understand EIL itself has taken large technology initiatives around this area. So one question is around adoption of such digitalization initiatives in the organization. And the second is, what specific challenges you faced in maybe making it happen, doing the implementations as well?
As you're all, I think he has briefed it, we deliver the plants like refineries, petrochemical plants and fertilizer plants from concept to commissioning. So that as the number of years are shrinking, initially we used to build 52 months project, then 48, now 36, a big large refinery you can imagine. So looking into all this, EL has been always in the forefront to adopt the latest technologies, be it in the digital or even in the equipments or all our thing. And we always considered that technology as our partner, be it internal or be a deliverance we give. For example, we have a complete, we use over 100 software solutions for our technology, all our technology deliverances, and then they are all seamlessly connected to our own system, and they are all workflow based softwares. We call it as from my design, then my process technology, then this is a project implementation, and also the procurement and inspection and all. These are all done in a platform which are seamlessly connected. It's a workflow based, and that is developed our in-house. And whenever there is a technology change, we upgrade ourselves to this. Without that technology gives us an edge to deliver the shrinking schedules. That is one of the major thing which I can put it through. And secondly, we are also not just for our internal working or anything. We are also building the plants, and the commissioning and other aspects are very important. Commissioning and handover. Imagine a refinery where 35,000 people are coordinatedly working when the commissioning is happen. It's not easy to coordinate thing. Whereas we have in order to make it very efficient, we have developed a unique software platform. We call it as a commissioning PCAM, where the last of the welder or welder's representative to the designer documents, they are all working in the monitored and working in the same platform. So that actually gives the edge for the commissioning. In the overall scenario, what we realize is this digitization and adaptation of technology time to time has given transparency and accountability, and also there's a quality of work. Then apart from the time we are saving it. And someone said about ERP, which has been indigenization. Entire our system of our finance, HR, all the systems, along with our billing, there are hundreds of, maybe thousands of contractors we deal every year, contracts and contractors. So they are all being synchronized with our own platform. That is because we have a very formidable IT establishment. It was in 1970s, it was envisaged, and we had this thing. So we grow with the technology. That is makes us to this level. And you asked about
The people aspect that you mentioned about. What was about the challenges that you faced in implementation?
Yeah.
What are the people aspect?
Okay, challenges, yes, because technology, as someone put, when the technology changes, there are platform changes. We have to upgrade with the softwares. Since, as I said, there are also a lot of technology tools we are using by others. We have to be efficient in that. There also changes, so our coordination, synchronizing with our own platform, that is a very big challenge we face. But when we deliver what we think at this stage is, we are talking about digitization, IoT, data mining, all these big words, which really confuses the industry, especially our industry, which is a hydrocarbon, where safety is a paramount. The data, yes, data is very much important. Safety is paramount. So the challenge we face is how to work out this ROI. When I'm going for a data mining or I'm going for things, what is that ROI which I am delivering? Because this kind of data mining, whether that what for this has been put forth. So this ROI, return of investment, it's not just a Flipkart taking some data to track whether what you are buying or what is your interest. It is much more than that. So that challenge and convincing the client that this is what we can deliver, that is the part which we feel. And second thing, very important thing, everybody talks about IoT and sensors. Okay, the wireless sensors which can, hundreds of sensors which can do. In the ground level, believe from me, we have been implementing many, without knowing it was IoT, wireless things. The ground level, the technologies still need improvements. For example, battery life. The first wireless we have put 10 years ago. The batteries have, like for example, with 4 seconds updation, 5 years battery life. That has not changed. Unless the technology, ground level, sensor level technology takes a leap. Imagine there are 5,000 devices and I have to change battery every alternate day. It will be end up in full maintenance of it. So that is where the industry should focus. That has become a big bottleneck to go in leap and bounds to this digitization. It's a very ground level thing.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Some of the interesting thoughts around what is being done in this large organization when it comes to digital interventions are eye-opener for me at least, and I'm sure for the others as well. We'll have some follow-up questions a little later with you. So moving on to our next panelist, Mr. Kamlakar Kaul, who is the Executive Director IT from CIL. Sir, we all know that CIL. I'm sorry. We all know that the TCIL being a large organization, a large consulting work with government projects in India and in the developing countries. A large number of projects include the e-governance projects, disaster management related projects, surveillance projects spread across the market as well. So we want to Mr. Kaul to share his perspective on what all, given the spread of these projects across the country, what all digital interventions have been there to monitor them, and what type of different technologies in the digital arena that they are implementing for their own clients as well. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. See, I will basically share the projects which we are doing, which will have an impact in the government space, whether it's the public sector or the government as such. For some organization, we are helping them set up the IoT labs so that they can use this technology in the field level. Similarly, we are helping the organizations for setting up AI labs so that train the people to use AI and use them for their projects. There is another interesting project which we are doing with one of the organizations, is setting up a robotics lab of animals. The basic requirement is a lab in which whenever the medicine is given to animal, the same medicine is given to the robotics animal, he should behave like an animal. So that before giving that medicine to animal, it can be tested and see how the reaction will be of animal. So this is very interesting. Probably this will go to many other areas. Another area which we are doing is integrated perimeter security for the secure government installation. Wi-Fi at the village level. So once the Wi-Fi is are installed, they get started connecting. The idea is to create the application so that the villagers' requirement to interact physically with the government gets reduced to minimum. So that everything he gets online. There's another which we are doing. Then the other project we are doing is telemedicine, teleeducation. This we are doing with around 55 African countries. We have done phase 1. The phase 1, phase 2 is under implementation, wherein at the India end we have the hospitals and education institutions which are connected, create a network, and in the phase 1 I think we trained a lot of the African students, and they got certifications from Indian institutes, and seeing the, I think the usability of the phase 1, the government has gone to phase 2, which again TCL will be doing. So it will be moving from the earlier satellite based technology to more internet based technology. In e-health, basically, for example, the from Africa to India, so or the referral they need not come again to India, they can do it in the network. So these are the technologies which we are basically. Surveillance is another part. Then lawful interception, wherein probably for this is for the police organizations, wherein the police organizations want to find out a profile of a person. So this again we are working with some of the organizations, some of the areas where I feel that something new is being done. Other than that, we are also doing all around.
Thank you, Mr. Kaul. Just a follow-up question on that. Given this vast variety of digitally focusing projects that DCL is doing, how do you handle the upskilling of the team, the capability, building the internal capacity, capability of the team to take up such projects? So, given these large digital projects that you are doing, how is the internal team of DCIL getting trained and upskilled to handle such type of projects?
See, for these digital projects, we have basically in certain areas we train our people, and in areas where there's a lot of field work and all that, we also outsource the project. So that it is basically we bring in the private sector and the TCL together to implement the projects.
You're referring to a collaborative model to be able to build that capacity and capability. Quite interesting. Thank you very much, sir. Moving on to NTPC, and we have Mr. K.S. Kalidas, who is the General Manager IT from NTPC. So NTPC has been powering the country for last many years and decades. They have large power plants and manage the core business of generation as well. And it's a different type of working altogether than probably we've heard from other PSUs so far. So may I request sir to share with us how is digital helping NTPC improve its efficiency in various areas of its working, and what is the convergence between digital technologies and the operational technologies happening in NTPC per se?
Thank you, Akshay. Good evening, everybody. I will not repeat what others have told. Okay, I will not repeat what others have told. It's okay now. Audible now. But still, briefly, we are a 54 gigawatt power generating company with thermal, hydel, now solar, with renewable also, solar and wind, all types of generation available. We are also basically on ERP platform for the last 10 years, SAP ERP. That's our main, operating system. One of the new initiatives what we are now, almost through is a BPM project. wherein even after ERP we were still having file movements, paper approvals. So this was an area which was rather affecting our efficiency because files were taking a lot of time, it was not traceable. So we are not totally moved to a paperless office. I will not believe, certain approvals which were taking earlier, weeks together and then non-traceable. Now it is happening within a day. I can tell you one particular case. I can tell you one particular case where how it has helped this digitalization, even though it's not a big technology. Earlier, suppose one file has to go there. Suppose they moved a file over there just to come Delhi. There is some clarification, just to go to Angulam again, come back. It takes almost 2 weeks or even a month. Now it happens within a day. Morning the file has come, there is some clarification required. It goes back online. It comes back online. Work is done. So that has put a tremendous, improvement in terms of speeding up things, bringing transparency. That is one of the initiatives we have taken now, which is almost through. And also all our legacy documents we are digitizing and storing it and going away with this paper. Maybe another 1 year will be totally paperless. Now coming to our core business, power generation. See, as I told you, we have SAP, we have a slew of homegrown applications, our own mailing system, we have this BPM also. Yes, our core business will not be affected by IT as such, because even if nothing works, power generation will still take place. But we cannot sustain, no station can sustain more than half an hour without any IT system. There will be a lot of chaos because no work moves, even though power plant can run. Coming to the specific question what actually asked regarding our efficiency improvement or IIoT, these are the 2 areas now we are looking at. One is IIoT, because as I told you, we have already moved to renewable power generation, that is solar and wind generation. See, the amount of data required from solar panels, suppose you take 50 megawatt solar unit, the amount of data required is tremendous here. So you can't think of getting that data no other way, only through only we can. IoT is the only solution. Similarly for wind also. One more requirement is, we are in a regulated regime where we have to declare our day-ahead capacity, even for solar also, how much we can generate. So accurate prediction of weather is equally important. But this is an area we are facing a lot of challenge. Nobody could give us a clear-cut solution where we can monitor the solar power plant and exactly predict what we can do tomorrow. What is our capacity we can predict for tomorrow? This is an area we still find a lot of challenges. There is no proven case so far. Another area where we are again concerned is data analytics. As I told you, we have a variety of data source, ERP, our BPM, our mail, our website, our Twitter, Facebook, there are other collaborative forums. Everywhere data information available. So we are looking for a kind of real dashboard, taking information from all these sources. A kind of anything what you ask, system should give us an answer for that. I'll tell you the kind of solution we are looking for. Just an example I'll tell you. Suppose one of our power plant, a unit generation is less. Okay. Suppose I want to know what is the generation, why the generation is less. If I ask the system should say why generation is less. It will say maybe your condenser vacuum is low. Why condenser vacuum is low? Naturally it will say your cooling water outlet temperature is high. Why temperature is high? System should say, okay, out of 24 fans in CT fan, only 22 are running, 2 are not running. Why 2 are not running? System should say, yes, 2 are not running because there is a gearbox problem. Why the gearbox problem? It should say, yes, it was having a high vibration which was not noticed. But this is the kind of analytics now we want from the system. We are doing a POC for bringing it to create a data analytics. Subsequently, we want to build up one by one this data analytics. That is another area we are looking into it. So that is briefly about NTPC. Anything specific you want to know?
Thank you, Mr. Kalidas. That was quite a in-depth view of how things function in a plant and what challenges could a field operator or the management face because of improper functioning of some of those, and how technology can help with that. Thank you for sharing some of those thoughts, sir. Moving on to one of, so we have one from the corporate side with us, from Avaya, Mr. Manoj Bhakchandani, requesting Manoj to share some thoughts on how the solutions that Avaya has to offer are strengthening the digitalization story for the PSUs now and going forward. That's very important.
Thank you, Akshay, and good evening to everyone over here. As Akshay introduced, I'm from Avaya. We are the leading organization in the communication space. So unified communication and contact centers are our basic foray, and we are the undisputed leaders in that segment for a very long time. Building upon what some of the panelists talked about, so I would just like to take it to a different dimension. A lot of panelists over here, eminent panelists over here, talked about ERPs being the base, SAPs of the world and Oracle, and also homegrown ERP solutions. Now, I would like to just throw, because there's a presentation by my team, so I don't want to take away the complete thunder, but just a thought-provoking. Can I, if you could probably ponder upon, are your applications, any of your business applications, communication enabled? So are you able to communicate right from the application that you're discussing, you're working upon? If you need any further information, are you able to move forward from the application, whether it could be through an audio channel or a video channel, whichever it could be? That's one of the dimensions that I would like to throw. Second, I recall ma'am talked about a lot of IoT devices and other equipments getting installed across, and manageability is also an issue. But the most important point she stressed upon, the kind of solutions that they build, safety is the most important parameter over there. So if safety is the important parameter, and in case of anything going wrong, if there is any case of emergency, how do you all cope up to? Do you have a system which can make a dynamic team formation? Can you get the decision makers, who would be responsible for taking those decisions available at that hour without any manual intervention? So these are some of the thoughts which I would leave. I understand there is a paucity of time, but these are few things which we can help the industry, the PSU, by using their existing setup, making their business applications communication enabled, and going beyond, the IoT devices. Yes, it is there. It is helping us to improve productivity, reduce operational cost, grow revenues, and in return, the citizens of the country benefit from it. But if we are able to go beyond that and help you communicate better, which helps you further grow revenue, is something which we could help out. That is what I would like to talk about from the industry standpoint. Thank you.
Thank you, Manoj. Some pulse of wisdom from around the trip. So, sir, what industry thinks in terms of how efficiency and the revenue growth can happen by intervention of various technologies as well. And now we have our panelist, Shri Mishra. Shri Mishra, he is the joint GMIT and CISO of RVNL. May I request you to share your views about how RVNL is taking up these digital interventions in stride from people and process perspective as well.
Thank you, Akshay. Good evening, everyone. Yes, at RVNL, since we are a project-based organization, we do undertake a lot of technology innovations with respect to every single project that we undertake. The latest one being commissioning of one of our sections for electrical train running. So the innovation that was taken up is during the testing, when the commissioner goes and tests the section, they combined the sensors, collected all the information, analyzed it with the system, and rendered it in real time on a connected device for real-time safety checking. So that was on this situation. It was for the first time. It was very much applauded. And when you see it is from the perspective of checking the safety of the system, it becomes very, very important to have all the parameters correct. What I intend to say over here is, yes, as a project-based organization, we look at technology differently every time. But since we're talking about unlocking the potential of PSUs with digital innovations, actually let me take the opportunity to talk about that instead of talking what just RVNL or any other organization is doing. Yes, there is a lot coming up in terms of digital technology, say unmanned aerial vehicles, there could be cloud technology, there could be a lot of other things, machine learning and AI and whatnot. But the impending change or shift in the behavior and attitude of the industry is something we should be discussing right now. What is it we are doing to adopt that technology? There is an obvious and understandable phase lag between creation of a technology and adoption in an industry, especially in major manufacturing companies or PSUs of the world, where a technology is only adopted after it has gained stabilization. However, when we talk about technology in our PSUs, we talk about IT projects. This has to stop. We do not undertake IT projects unless we are an IT software company. The core business of the company is supported or enabled by IT. We do not run IT softwares or applications. We do not go to office every day to make IT softwares. So the first thing in our mind should be how to use IT to actually enable our core businesses. And that IT application adopted for our core business has to have very clear objectives. So somebody is using ERP to increase efficiency, is implementing in a way where actually it reduces efficiency, and the real function is to increase transparency, will obviously face failure at the end of the day. So you have to be very clear with your objectives, and also downstream you have to communicate it to your end users what you're trying to achieve. When we talk about acceptance of any software by the users, by the people, we develop any kind of application in terms of processes. Those processes have to be accepted by the end user, unless otherwise the application implementation is going to fail. So the users need to understand what they are getting out of it, the real benefit to the users. Now in PSUs, we adopt a lot of technology, but what we are creating right now are islands of technology. We have an ERP solution, we have a communication system, we have a project monitoring system separate from the ERP. Sometimes we have an office management system which is maybe integrated into the ERP but not connected to the communication, then security system which is not connected. What I'm trying to say is we are developing technologies that do not talk to each other. And in a time when we discuss IoT, it is high time we understand that an integrated thought process is required when planning any kind of IT implementation in an organization, to integrate it well into the business as well as the other technology applications running or under implementation within the organization. Technology for our benefit is that we stop looking at IT projects as IT projects. Whenever we deal with any kind of project, for example at RVNL we are mostly into construction projects, say a construction of a facility, a turnkey project end-to-end where you develop say a workshop, alright? Now that person who plans that particular project does not think about technology from the IIT perspective, does not think about digital innovation, digital transformation, he plans a project. In an organization, there would be an IT guy sitting or whatever level in the hierarchy, could be from the board level to the executive level somewhere, but that person is not involved in the planning of that project. That person is expected to develop their own projects and then integrate with the project. So we need to start planning any kind of projects in the organization with the IT team as an integral part of the planning, execution and operation of those projects. That's how the applications will be implemented successfully in future. If you really want to benefit, rather than wasting crores of money and getting benefit of only a few lakhs. Just a last thing, Yes. I think Mr. Joshi mentioned it, or somebody, I don't exactly remember, about in-house versus the standardized international solutions for ERP. Both have their benefits. On individual merit basis, we need to take decisions. There is no cutout solution for every organization. So rather than going in for a debate of which is better, we need to look into detail into every single situation in terms of the additional cost, in terms of the cost of upgrades, in terms of the extent of customization and other factors. So I'll hand over to Akshay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mishra, for touching upon some of the important aspects of planning of IT to be the core of many decision making, then keeping it on the periphery. Given the paucity of time, I will take one or two questions from the audience and then wrap up the session if there are any questions. Otherwise, we'll have our panelists being around later in the day as well. Any one or two questions from the audience, please? So I think I've been instructed by the organizers to wrap up the session and take up some of these things a little later. Thank you so very much. Lovely to have these pearls of wisdom from you jotted down by us. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much.